All right, I've mentioned Weiss Schwarz, the card game, before a couple times. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it. There's a mechanic in the game where when you get attacked, rather than you taking damage, there's something called a trigger check. So each character can do X amount of damage, right? There's a little diamond or star at the bottom of the card, and that represents how many cards off the top of the deck you're ripping off the opponent's top of the deck. So if I have 3, I'm checking 1, 2, 3, and not like one at a time. It's all at once. And if there's no what's called climax cards, which are just basically event cards showing in that stack, that 3 damage then moves to your clock, which is like your health. And once you hit 7, you level up. So you've leveled up in damage. Once you hit level 3 and you hit level 7 again, you die. You just fucking die. If you take 21 points of damage, you're done. So the way you avoid damage is when you're pulling from the top of your deck, you hope to hit a climax, and then you do what's called a climax cancel. So if they do 5 damage to you and on the 5th one you hit a climax, bam, no damage. If you do 1 damage and hit a climax, you're like, well, that fucking sucks because I would have rather canceled on bigger damage, but whatever, it is what it is. So a lot of the game is about using your other cards to sift shit out of your deck and keep your climaxes in your deck, and like, you know, forcing your opponent's climaxes out of their deck. And there's a lot of gameplay with that. And it sounds very luck based, but it's not. It's very much skill based and numbers based, and it's really, really a cool mechanic. I may not have explained it very well, but basically what you need to know is don't fucking miss your climax if you're taking big damage. Right? Is this a waifu TCG? Yes. You're essentially choosing your favorite shows or your favorite anime things, and you're battling them against your enemy's favorite things. And if you win, your anime is better. That's the idea. It sounds insanely weird. It is, but it's very cool. So for example, if I'm running like a ReZero deck, they're running a Sword Art Online deck, I want to beat him with my ReZero deck, that kind of thing. Nothing goes out of rotation. There's no standard format. It is what it is. You can play whatever the fuck you want. There's a few cards banned, but you know, it's very balanced compared to like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or Magic. Called Weiss Schwarz. So there's a big meme, and it gets some people really fucking heated in the community, and it says it's just shuffle better. It's like people will be like, damn, I got every single point of damage they did to me went through. And then the joke is, if you're a toxic player, just shuffle better. To the community, I promise they're not very toxic, but that's like the one thing that'll tilt people. It has no effect over me because I think it's hilarious, but I'm not disrespectful enough to show up to a match and be like, yo, just shuffle better. If they're like, damn bro, I got fucked. Sounds like just don't get hit for souls. Like, imagine it's that, but it's like infinitely more disrespectful. Picture it like this. Somebody's mom just died. You're not really in the friend group, and you're like making your mom jokes all night. You know what I mean? Just shuffle better, practice sleight of hand to rig the deck. Yeah, for real. But that's basically what it is. And it's don't be that guy. So if you ever decide to get into Weiss, and if you buy into English cards, do not buy from TCG Player. Everything there is insanely marked up for Weiss. Yeah, it's very fun. But I will say this, now that I've been playing the Digimon TCG, it is much more balanced. I had a friend who was notorious cheat at MTG. He'd just be looking through his deck, rearranging cards randomly while other people are that's fucked up. Especially if it's Commander and you're playing with friends, that shit's fucked. So in Weiss, unless you're level, this is a level 1 card and it's red. So you have to either have a red card in your clock or in your level up zone to play red cards of level 1 or higher. And to play a level 1 card, you have to be at least level 1. So for this little icon right here, this little diamond is what I was talking about. So this character, if they swing in to your opponent, they'll hit you for 1 damage. They'll do 1 flip. What is your deck theme? You mean like mine or just in general? So I have a few. My main tournament deck I was running is what's called Axis Cult. It's actually widely considered a meme deck. I'm getting like really excited and my brain's going way too fast to keep up with what I'm trying to say. Normally in Weiss, you can only run 4 copies of a card. But in this deck, you can run, it's a Konosuba deck, you can run multiple copies of Axis Cult cards. So for example, this is a take on my deck build. So normally you can't have this many copies of a card. That's just not going to happen, right? But this says you can put any number of cards with the same name as this card into your deck. The continuous, so continuous is basically a world effect, right? So in Magic, no, it's not a grandma deck. You know in Magic, how you got like enchantments that could be like world effects or whatever, or just like apply to you as a player. That's That's what this is. These are the different arts. These are all the same card. Just because it's a meme deck, everybody either uses this one or this one is the meme, because like most people that are like horny baited will go for these two, and everybody else will use grandma because like, I don't know, it's just funny. And they'll use child because in the show, the child was the most obnoxious one. Like, these characters try to recruit you to the cult, essentially. But what this deck does is you play a fuck ton of these. There's a level 1 version of these. I don't run it in mine. Losing to Grandma's Godlike, it is. Then you play this. And essentially what you do is you have a stack of these motherfuckers underneath your Aqua, your Furious Fist Aqua, and you punch the shit out of them. It is fucked up and it's hilarious. And people get really salty when they lose to this deck. It's the equivalent of somebody just throwing Slash and Heavy Slash Dolphin at you all game and you lose. And you're just like, bro, what am I even doing here? And you just, you know, you go 0-2 in the tournament and you're like, man, I was already in losers and this fucking May player was sitting there and they smelled like shit and they blah, 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 blah. And it's just a bad time. So there is a tabletop simulator workshop for this, but what a lot of people have been using is this app. It's a Weiss Schwarz app you can find online. Yeah, it's really fun and it has, you know, multiplayer, so that's cool. And the deck editor, unfortunately right now it doesn't have every English set, but they've been doing pretty good with like adding a lot of them. They got Batman Ninja. That's cool for you non-anime fans. But like Weiss has a Godzilla set. Yeah, it has P5. Yep. It has an AC/DC. It has Star Wars. It has a Marvel set. It has an Adventure Time set. 7 Deadly Sins. Like, it's got a lot of stuff for a wide range of people. If you're not like super into anime, if you're into the music anime like Bang Dream and shit, it's really strong. I like Hatsune Miku. I would assume I have One Piece. Basically anything that's shonen. That's not really true. A lot of the really big ones like One Piece, My Hero, and like that won't make it into the game because they all have their own card games, or will have their own card games eventually. Ever since COVID, I haven't been to a Weiss tournament. It makes me sad. But even if I wanted to now, the Miku deck I want to run, I can't get the cards for it in English because they're old. They haven't been reprinted. And to buy a booster pack, or a box, or the singles, they're way overpriced right now because there was only one run of them. Whereas like now with Digimon, I can buy a box for hella cheap or buy my whole deck for $60 or less and still face off against somebody with, you know, a really crazy expensive maxed out $250, $300 deck. And I'm having a good time, they're having a good time, and it's a good time all around. The Digimon card game, for anybody that's looking for a balanced card game, is probably going to be up your alley. This is as close to a balanced card game as we have right now in the TCG. That being said, I haven't played Battle Spirit Saga. I haven't played Final Fantasy. I haven't played, what's it called? Ardent. Dragon Ball is fucked now. Only card game I played is Legends of Runeterra. I still haven't gotten through all the single player content on that. I want to get through all the single player content on that before I play it on stream.